Greetings, Darth Geerup. I'd like to congratulate and condemn you on your last video. You're some kind of internet loser. What makes you think that you can get on the internet here and say anything about evolution? When's the last time you took a biology class? Let me educate you just a little bit. It ain't religion. I can tell you that. You better stick to what you're good at. Are you seriously suggesting that Ida did not have fingernails or fingerprints? If you look closely at that fossil, I'm sure that with some imagination you can see fingernails and fingerprints in that fossil. Geerup, you obviously don't understand what a missing link is. Look in the mirror. You are a missing link. You're the missing link between your parents and your children. Evidence right there. And your thumb. Do you know your thumb happens to be a big thumb because it used to be your big toe? The human foot has the talus bone, but when you look at lemurs, the lemurs do not have a talus bone. What can we conclude from that? This is not a lemur, but this has a talus bone. So we must conclude that it is a human foot that we're looking at because we compare it. All the legs, the talus bone. Let's compare Ida's foot to Ida's foot to human foot and other vertebrates, like the Himity-Hobbity-Hab, an articonidid that is not a primate. And what about the ancient Honapsips and the Abitihibitis? And what about a couple of Cretaceous squamates and a Caudibitius? Consider the Pliocene hominine, a modern marsupial compared to the Cretaceous marsupial, and we can't forget the Phlenoidium and the Conoidium. Pleistocene ungulates, what about them? Biggest cephalian fish. Now we're comparing Ida and Ida to the human feet and the Stegospithalium fish, a Permian Thracid, Parafossils, and a Parachute Paratree. I've also showed the tiny tootsies of the Hastiophysis terrasanctus, Paratherophos and a partridge and pear tree, and one example each from an Apoparatheritres and a Soracetious fish.
Now, is this one Ida or Ida?
That's Ida. No, that's Ida. We're talking about Ida. Ida and Ida, the Parathoriphax. Multifaxed, which is a Mesozoic snake, which looks like the modern snake, but we like to call it a different species because we know it's not the same. It's got to have evolved a little bit, like the finch's beak on the doggone Galapagos Islands. I think that's how it works. All those things, one would like to conclude that I don't know how you could think of those two things as complete opposites. We're looking at snake feet and lemur feet. Those are opposites. A human foot is exactly the same as Ida's foot. So you want us to disbelieve our own eyes just because some anonymous internet whack job tells us that evolution is not true? Can't you see the facts? We have DNA on our side. There's hundreds of pieces of evidence. There's fossils coming out of our ears. I mean, the fossil record is actually abundant with, it's almost ridiculous at the point of how many different transitional creatures we have. I don't know why you can't see that we have ample evidence of transitional creatures from pond scum to humans. It's all there in the transitional fossil record. Look it up. Take a biology class. Geerup, I have a proposition for you. I want you to show us how science works. I want you to take two related species and show us the transitions between them. And if you can't falsify it, then it's unfalsifiable. We want you to show us how it works. Since you seem to know so much about it, take species A and species B, put them together, make species C. Then turn it upside down on your head and show us that this is the only way that it could possibly be. It's the only theory out there that makes any sense, and I'm sticking to it. That's all that's to it. We make predictions, and then we look for the evidence to... We don't presume. You presume, I don't presume, but we know, we predict that the presumption of the fossil has to belong to the hominid primate. Wait a second. So, make a prediction and then back it up with, is it two lineages splitting off into one and then coming back to the other? Are we looking at the third that comes around to the second and then splits off at the T of the road and then goes off to the diversion into the... Geerup, it's no sin to not understand evolution. The sin is trying to explain that you do understand evolution. It is true. Put your faith and trust in science. We know what we're talking about. You don't. So stop being so intellectually dishonest and lying about it as if you know that we didn't evolve. How do you know that? We have all these facts. Biology, physiology, sociology, mechanics. You're driving a car, aren't you? Do you drive a car? You're using an iPod, the camera you're using right now to go on YouTube. All those things hinge on evolution. Geerup, the sin that you're guilty of, you deserve to fall prostrate in front of the holy mighty Saint Dawkins. Geerup, it's no sin to pretend you know what you're talking about when you're trying to criticize something that you don't know anything about. The sin is your intellectual dishonesty when you keep up trying to convince us of something that it's just not in your holy book. It's out of your realm. You don't know what you're talking about. Face the facts. They're all stacked against you. Come on, dude. You got your car. That hinges on the scientific fact that we evolved. Our big thumbs were our big toes. Well, now we drive cars and use the internet. If it wasn't for those things, evolution wouldn't be true. What kind of men were you raised by? I was raised by Neanderthal men that didn't go to the barber very often. Yeah, I have a code of ethics. My code of ethic is get on here, pwn you guys one after another, and then I move on. Don't forget to subscribe and give me 5 stars.
What is he saying? That's the part that's like, my mind wants to make sense of craziness.
You can't make sense of craziness.
Pleistocene ungulates. Ungulates.
Pleistocene ungulates.
Pleistocene ungulates.
Pleistocene ungulates.
Pleistocene ungulates.
What about them?
What? Pleistocene ungulates. What about them?
What about them?
What about them? Oh man, this is gross.
I have AronRaw in the bathroom here.
Get out of here, you couple of squamades.